Welcome to the Growth Room with David Daniels. Today, we're incredibly fortunate to have Emille Bryant, the visionary president and founder of Go IKIGAI. Emille, with his Air Force Academy military background, has dedicated his career to business coaching with unique management consulting strategies. Today, we'll be diving into his unique approach to management consulting and exploring the significant trends he's observing in the industry. Emil, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you today?
David, thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here with you. And thank you for letting the world know that I do things a little bit different. That's kind of my calling card. So we'll start with saying thank you for that because I don't want to be conventional, and you see that already.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's why you're here. Because we feel as though that's great. So can you share a little bit about your background and your role at Go Ikigai?
Sure. I graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1993. Graduated from the University of Oklahoma with a Master's of Human Relations in 2001. And throughout my time on active duty, I retired from the military in 2012. I was an aircraft maintenance officer and logistics readiness officer. And those two jobs gave me the entirely unique perspective I have today. The problem that I was solving on a daily basis was never enough resource, always too much mission, right? And so they don't give you the out to say, well, I can't do that. What they tell you is figure out how to get it done. And that perspective generated tons of creativity and tons of opportunity while I was in the military. Aircraft maintenance specifically is very rigid, and that's not a bad thing. You want your technicians following technical manuals, following technical orders, because that is a way to ensure quality. On the other side, when I was a logistics readiness officer, the rules were a little bit less rigid, which led to a lot more creativity inside of that space. So between the two, knowing how to follow the rules and knowing how to work within the rules in a creative way, I ended up being a leader who could generate incredible discipline and incredible creativity simultaneously. And I brought that to my civilian life as a consultant, which I have been since 2000 and, excuse me, since 2013 and on my own since 2016.
Nice, nice, nice. Tell me, what does a typical day look like for you with the business?
Oh, you don't want that. I'm up at about 5 o'clock. And I say that because my typical day is more thoughtful than most people's because I have made a choice a long time ago to be a boutique consultant. And what that means is that I'm not, and I've lived a life where every day I'm marketing and I'm posting and I'm trying to generate business and I'm trying to generate revenue. And I found that to be unrewarding and tiresome. And
Gotcha.
so I got out of the rat race a couple of years ago, and I started building a business more consciously toward being a boutique consultant that works with word of mouth and referral only. Of course, I'll
Okay.
do podcasts like this because these are interesting conversations, and I love sharing how I see the world with audiences like yours. But
Nice.
honestly, my typical day starts at about 5 a.m. with meditation, a thoughtful waking process, which takes me about an hour or so, maybe a little bit more. And then I write for a little while in the morning.
Nice.
When it's time to do client service, I'll knock that out later in the morning and then through the afternoon. And then by about 4 o'clock, I shut it all down. So the work hours that I put in, they vary, but the actual work hours that I put in are usually between 10 and 4 every day so that
Okay.
I have time to do all the stuff I want to do in my life, but at the same time dedicate the focus time that my clients deserve when I have one on board.
No doubt. No doubt. I love that. I love that. Um, what if any, major shifts have you seen in the consulting industry over the last few years?
So AI is going to just dominate everyone's conversation, but the reaction to AI is what I'm most interested in, right? So this AI context is where people are getting lost in the sauce, as they say. When what I mean
Mhm.
by that is consultants are trying to figure out how to integrate AI into their offerings. They're trying to say, okay, we can help you with AI to do X or to do Y. And I love that they're trying to figure out how to take this technology and bring it in. But I still think the core reason for a consultant exists, and that is people are coming to us because we have solutions or we can ask questions they don't know how to ask or even if they should ask. So I have permission to think in ways that inside the organization they don't. So
Right.
now what a consultant should be doing in this era is augmenting their ability to see with multiple perspectives. They can speed that process up. They can be much more inquisitive because the machine allows for swifter iterations.
Right.
So now we can take the AI conversation and move it out of is this the right technology and move it toward how am I best utilizing this technology to further my client's agenda. So the hot topics in my world are not just AI adoption, but AI use in a humane way.
Right.
And how do clients see themselves in this era?
No doubt. No doubt. And how has that impacted your business or your growth strategy at all?
Honestly, I don't use AI. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And you're going to go tell the people at OpenAI and Anthropic that I said this, but I'm not training their models for free.
No, I got you.
And that is one of the things that people say, well, how can you be an AI expert? Because I understand how the algorithms and how the process, I've been in computers since the early 80s.
Hmm.
And as a computer geek, I follow trends. And yes, I know how to use it and I have used it, but I don't use it as a standard tool in my business because they're always vacuuming up information and turning that into the database. And my
Right.
problem is that it vanillifies, that's my word, it vanillifies output, right? You have to be so savvy as a prompt engineer to really customize the output from the machine.
Right.
And I have that ability, but here's the funny part. The time it takes me to draft the kind of prompt that gives me the kind of output I would desire, I can actually just do the work myself.
No, I got you.
Right?
I got
Like
you.
I don't need the machine to help me to be creative in that way. Once I have an answer, then I can go to the machine and use it for iterations and simulations and all sorts of hypotheticals. And that is where the power really lies. So I'm not using it for original thought. I'm using it once I've come up with some ways of looking at the world that I can use to iterate. So I just don't want to train their models with my original thought right now. I just
No, I
don't
got you.
believe that's the best use of my talent on their behalf.
No, I got you. I got you. Um, when you think about your core business, what's working well for you right now? And on the flip side, what's been frustrating, if anything?
I'll start with the frustration. Marketing is always frustrating, which is why I am boutique and only go with word of mouth and referrals. But the other part is that inside that construct that I've created for myself, the biggest frustration is allowing people to get a feel or a sense of what they're asking of me. Because when people come to me, it's an intimate conversation, similar to what you and I are doing right now, David. We're really looking at the whys and the hows and the
Right.
motivations and the sort of the unspoken rules. That's where all of the goodness lies. Having that conversation early is very difficult because it requires a lot of trust
Right.
to build up. But on the flip side, some of the things that make my work joyful and productive and very fulfilling is that the breakthroughs, when they come, you see the light bulb, you see the opportunities people can now sort of grasp tangibly from the work that we're doing together. And that's to me the biggest part is like people are often very linear and
Hmm.
focused on what they think is success. And when I open the aperture and they see more opportunities to use more of their tools and skills in more ways,
Hmm.
that to me is where the most fulfillment comes from because now this is where new lines of business, new forms of revenue, new opportunities to entrench themselves in industry come from. And I love being in that space where that light bulb just illuminates and all of a sudden people see, hey, I have so much more capacity for success than I initially realized.
Right. Right. And from your standpoint, does are those solutions that you offer, are they linear, or are they unique client to client?
They're client to client. They're very unique. And here's what I don't have a standard process, if you will. You know, if you go to
Right.
some of the big seven companies in the consulting game, they have a very specific process that they follow, and their people are brilliant in implementing those processes and working within those systems. But for me, I like to go in cold. I don't want to know what's happening in an organization. I don't want to do a survey or take the pulse. I want to walk in completely blind and then based on the ambiance and the things that I observe, begin to interact with the organization. That's where I find, and this is why I don't have a lot of clients every year because I'm going to do that in person and I'm going to do that very meticulously and very thoughtfully and therefore very slowly. And
Right.
people who want to go fast, they don't work with me, but people who want to go far do. Because
Right.
the way that I end up working with them after I've gotten that ambient information is being able to tailor my approach to the specific needs of that organization down to the individual workers.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. What inside your business, what metrics are you most focused right now on improving?
So for me, the one metric that I sort of navigate the most is contacts, right? So I
Gotcha.
don't need a lot of contacts. I need quality contacts. So this would be one of the most significant KPIs that I would have is this conversation right now.
Right.
Because when I can have these kind of conversations consistently, then I know my business is flourishing. And what that means is that I'm generating the kind of buzz in whatever circle you found me in and what other people have found me in to
Right.
say I'm relevant, I'm sought after, that my perspective still matters in the way that I present it, and
Right.
that people find value in these kinds of conversations and these kinds of moments. So these conversations are probably my most valuable KPI. The other KPI that I really focus on that is kind of radical is I'm not looking at how many emails or how many phone calls I get. What I'm looking for is what is the depth of those emails and phone calls? Are
Right.
we talking at a surface level, or do people trust me enough to go deep early? And there's no like 1 to 5 measurement, but over the years, I have a sense that when people really trust me, they want to go deep early, and when they do, man, the work gets done so much better and faster.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Where do you want to be in the next, I say, 6 to 12 months from now?
But just yesterday I was working with Bruce George and his genius is common movement. And he said something to me that I haven't thought about in years.
Mhm.
And it sparked a reminder that perhaps in the next 6 to 12 months, maybe I'll be doing a lot more public presentations and speaking engagements.
Okay.
I think there's the potential for me to do maybe a couple dozen engagements over the next year or so. And I would love to be able to present some of these thoughts on stages and platforms that welcome me. And I think that's kind of the next 12 months is really kind of letting the speaking circuit draw me out of my very limited shell.
Gotcha. 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 That's interesting. That's very interesting. Um, Let me ask if you had a magic wand to fix just one thing in your business that might be holding you back or even slowing you down at all, what would that one thing be?
So, holding me back is the fact that there's only one of me, and I would love to be able to service more
Oh,
people who have the need for this kind of creative insight. But
right,
in business generally, if I could wave the magic wand, I would really challenge the notion that a business's job is to simply maximize profit.
I got
I think the business's job is to serve a client and to do so profitably.
you. Right,
So I put the client ahead of profit. And then I say, if your business is well built, serving the client and making money go hand in hand. But if
right,
your business isn't well built and you start to prioritize, and you've seen this in Fortune 500 companies and beyond, companies that maximize the profit for every interaction, every transaction, they tend to lose their soul. And when they lose their soul, it's hard to regain. And
right.
people eventually get tired and frustrated from that. So I would just love to see industry refocus itself on putting the customer, the client, and the opportunity to serve first, and then
Right.
say, now, how are we going to do that profitably? Because I think that would transform a lot of businesses from being looked at as poisonous and parasitic to being looked upon as producers of societal good. And I
Right.
do believe that every business should contribute to the society from which it gets its profit and success.
No doubt. No doubt. I love that. I love that. I think that's a great point to end on. Um,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
as usual, Mil, you're you're fantastic. You're a fantastic orator, and you're a fantastic causer of deeper thought. And I love that about you. So I
Thank you,
really
brother.
appreciate you sharing your insights and being spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Man, it's been a great. And the thing, David, I just appreciate these platforms and this opportunity to do this. Your willingness to go out and talk to someone like me who doesn't have a big presence in the world, I think that speaks volumes on you and the way you want to do business. So,
No doubt.
there are diamonds out here in the rough, and I may be one. And I think you being a miner, that's a beautiful way to really build your business and build your brand. So I appreciate being a part of that.
No doubt. No doubt. Really appreciate your